hard for me to understand why it was ruled the way it was ruled. If it is ruled that way, then why wasn't it slowed down? Just to make sure that we have this right. That would have made a lot of sense to me, to make sure that we have this thing right, because that's a pivotal play in the game. We have the ball at the 20, maybe kicking a game-winning field goal right there. But I'm saying it because I'm standing up for Buffalo, damn it. I'm standing up for us. Because what went on is not how it should go down.
As a diehard fan of the New Orleans Saints, as someone who was in the Superdome on that fateful day of January 20th, 2019, when NFL officials robbed Drew Brees of winning a second Super Bowl, they also robbed NFL fans of seeing Tom Brady versus Drew Brees in the Super Bowl, which would have been a hell of a lot better than that flaming ass fire that we got between the Rams and the Patriots that year. But as a diehard fan of the New Orleans Saints, I can relate to what Sean McDermott and fans of the Buffalo Bills are going through. I know exactly how it feels. You feel cheated, you feel robbed, you feel like this was your year and it was unfairly taken from you. But what you saw in that press conference Saturday night, that was not Sean McDermott sticking up for fans in Buffalo. That was not Sean McDermott trying to be their knight in shining armor for the entire city. That was Sean McDermott sticking up for Sean McDermott. That was the last gasp of a head coach who knew he was about to lose his job. You know, on the surface, when you look at the firing of Sean McDermott, it really doesn't make sense. For the better part of a decade, the Bills have been one of the most dominant teams in the league. Since 2017, they had the second most wins in the NFL. 9 years in Buffalo, Sean McDermott went 98-50. He was 8-8 in the playoffs, which isn't great, but it ain't bad. 16 playoff games in 9 years, especially for a franchise that hasn't been relevant since the 90s. Sean McDermott should be credited for revitalizing the Buffalo Bills. But the problem is, it wasn't enough. And the reason it wasn't enough, Sean McDermott did not have the support of the most important dude in the building. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the main channels in the description below. You know, throughout his 15 years in New Orleans, there were a couple of moments where Sean Payton's job was at risk. The Bountygate scandal, one of the most egregious punishments in the history of the league. Roger Goodell should have lost his job as NFL commissioner for suspending Sean Payton for an entire season over what was complete bullshit. From 2014 to 2016, Saints went 7-9 3 consecutive years. Going into the 2017 season, the Saints had missed the playoffs in 4 of the last 7 years. In a league where the past doesn't matter, in a league where you're only as good as your last win, if Sean Payton had been fired after the 2016 season, I don't think it would have been shocking. Matter of fact, it would have been justified. But Sean Payton, he had unbreakable job security throughout his tenure in New Orleans. Well, that's right, Uncle KC. He gave the Saints their first Super Bowl. No, that's not the reason he had job security. Sean Payton had job security because of his relationship with Drew Brees. Sean Payton was never going to be fired because if you fired Sean Payton, then you had to trade Drew Brees. And under no circumstances were the Saints trading Drew Brees. If they fired Sean Payton and traded Drew Brees in 2016, there would have been so many riots in the city of New Orleans, they would think a second Katrina would have been an act of mercy. Unfortunately for Sean McDermott, and this is pure speculation on my part, I think he was fired because he does not have the best relationship with Josh Allen. I'm not saying they're enemies, but they're damn sure not Goombas. Early in his career, Josh Allen did not get along with Sean McDermott. Their relationship has improved over the years, but I guarantee you, Brandon Beane, the general manager in Buffalo, who also happens to be very close with Josh Allen, I guarantee you, he did not make the decision to fire Sean McDermott without that decision being approved by Josh Allen. Now, I'm sure some people will criticize that. Why are you siding with a quarterback who's never made it to the Super Bowl? Why are you siding with a quarterback who chokes every year in the playoffs? Have you seen the quarterbacks in today's NFL? Have you seen some of these scrubs that are starting in this league? Sean McDermott is a great coach. He's one of the best in the league. But you can get another Sean McDermott. Josh Allen isn't as easily replaced. He's the first franchise quarterback in Buffalo since Jim Kelly retired back in the 90s. If the Browns had fired Kevin Stefanski because he couldn't get along with Shedeur Sanders, that would be a problem. You don't get rid of your head coach, who's a two-time coach of the year. You don't get rid of him because he can't get along with a fifth-round draft pick who struggles to complete a screen pass. But after 9 years of disappointment, after 9 years of falling short, if you're going to make a change, it is not going to be your franchise quarterback who's in the prime of his career. It's going to be the head coach. Relationships matter. If Sean McDermott had a better relationship with Josh Allen, he'd still have a job. It's no coincidence that Josh Allen refused to speak to the media on Sunday. He knew this was coming. And if I had to guess, these conversations about Sean McDermott, these conversations didn't start over the weekend. They didn't start Sunday morning. If I had to guess, they have been having these conversations for a while. And the struggles they went through this season, even though they were 12-5, the struggles the Bills went through this season, it sealed Sean McDermott's fate before they even took the field in Denver. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys later on the main channel.